আপনারা দেখছেন SR24x7 নিউজ।
World Entrepreneurship Day was celebrated with the Entrepreneurs of Kolkata on the 21st of August. Kolkata, August 21. A motley crew of Kolkata-based entrepreneurs marked World Entrepreneurship Day 2023 by hosting a momentous event in the City of Joy to launch a new business community of entrepreneur, startup founder, and a small business owner. The event aimed to celebrate the spirit of entrepreneurship and foster networking opportunities among like-minded and passionate individuals across multiple industries. The highlight of the event was an engaging panel discussion which brought together a diverse group of professionals from various fields including law, EdTech, manufacturing, mental health, transport, and hyper-local e-commerce. This estimate speaker ignited thought-provoking conversation on a wide range of topics from business and strategies and risk talking to stress management and mental well-being for entrepreneurs. The panel discussing covered a multitude of themes that are highly relevant in today's entrepreneurial landscape. Some of the key topics explored during the event including the purpose of entrepreneurship, understanding the driving forces behind the entrepreneurial endeavors, the entrepreneurial versus MNC, exploring the unique advantage and challenges faced by entrepreneur compared to multinational corporations, entrepreneurship as a career choice, shedding lights on the allure and rewards of pursuing entrepreneurship as a vital career path.
We are extremely profitable company. So few things in my framework is that if you are in Calcutta or if you are in the eastern part of India, you better start your business in a bootstrap manner. You at least should have your mindset that I'm going to grind it through for next 10 years to run my business in a bootstrap manner. If you can't do it, it's very difficult. Now, to be a bootstrap, you got to follow certain things. From the mindset point of view, one, your cost base has to be very low, and Calcutta is the best place to be for that, right? And if you go to Bombay, if you go to Delhi, one bedroom apartment is going to cost you $30,000, right? In Calcutta, maybe $5,000, $8,000. It's not going to be great, but you're an entrepreneur, right? You're not supposed to be living in a fantastic house. So it's a great, fantastic place to be in if you want to do a bootstrap business, number one. Number two, I believe if you want to get success in short term, meaning want to be bootstrap and want to be profitable, that means you have to be profitable because with bootstrap, you got to be in commodity business. Like anything commodity, you got to be into it because India got 140 crore people, Eastern India and Northeast India together has 300 million people. That's approximately close to US population. Just a huge customer base, a huge part of the population. Everybody needs commodity, right? You're consuming commodity every day. Now, commodity business, I mean, all kind of commodities we have, and it's a very fragmented business. If you can do some innovation around it. Now, whereas innovation in terms of finance, and that's a big one. Innovation in terms of distribution, because moving goods from one place to another place costs a lot of money, particularly in Eastern India, because road network is not that great compared to Bombay and Gujarat and Delhi. So if you can do some innovation on that, if you can do some innovation in terms of, let's say, marketing, in using content, using influencer, I think you can create a fantastic moat around it, and it's going to serve you well. It's serving very well, so it can serve you very well as well. Third, I believe to get into complex businesses. Complex not in nature of like product or services, but complex in terms of execution. I prefer to be in a business where there's so many complexities that nobody's gonna do business at scale. For example, if you get into agriculture business, it's still very easy, but agriculture business is the toughest business in India, and it's the most complex business in India. And the reason is, so many people are around agriculture business. One side you have farmers, they have certain way of doing things, like they are emotionally so different. There's somebody who is consuming, or somebody who is the middleman, somebody who is trading. There are people with so many socio-economic backgrounds, so many socio-emotional backgrounds are part of this ecosystem. And and it is very complex to execute because you're going to make unhappy customers and suppliers all the time. So I love this.
As I am. I'm a Parajita Banerjee, founder of Astrid Research and Advisory Services Private Limited, and I'll be celebrating my 5th year in India, in Kolkata specifically, and on the 31st of August, and my 4th year as an entrepreneur here in the city. A bit about myself, that's always the introduction. I've relocated from Australia, where I've spent most of my childhood, well into my academic and work life before moving back to Kolkata after 2 decades. So it was quite a journey. Our organization was founded in the ominous year of 2019, right before the pandemic. And as you rightly said, but for different reasons, it was a very difficult and challenging time. The transition period was not easy for me. However, as a citizen and alumni of Australia, who had just returned to India during a very important turning point in the Indo-Australian bilateral relationship, I had the privilege and good fortune to serve as the founding chair for 2 bilateral chamber of commerces, closely interact with Australian diplomats in the city, here in the city of Kolkata, advise on long-term stakeholder management strategies, and work closely with both the governments, Indian government and Australian government. Now, wearing 2 hats, so one as the chairperson of Australian, New Zealand and India Business Chamber, and also Indo-Australian Chamber of Commerce, East India chapter, and at the same time juggling my priorities as a founder for Astrid was very rewarding but extremely exhausting. And as soon as my term ended with the Indo-Australian Chamber of Commerce last year, I did my bit, working very closely with the Australian government, assisting them in the consulate. I've done the bus and did my part. It was time for me to firmly wear the entrepreneurial cap and simply get on with it. Focus on the entrepreneur's journey. And the journey or the trajectory would have been different, perhaps slightly smoother, less isolated, had a community like this existed 3 years back. Flashback 2019, my first year in Kolkata, and I had the opportunity to meet with the first Secretary of Australia to India and then acting head of mission at a roundtable conference at the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I remember this very clearly because I was the only woman in that meeting. That was the fact. I was under 40 and I was the only person who was passionately talking about exploring the startup culture of Kolkata. While they were talking about mining and infrastructure and banking and whatever, I was just there. You had these brilliant, experienced, seasoned business heads in the group. I was there talking about how we could perhaps explore the potential to co-create solutions in tech, education, health, and others with entrepreneurs in Australia. Update best practices for managers and SMEs across various industries through a knowledge-sharing platform. Collaboratively work with IT startups in Australia to develop apps for retail, the health industry, and finance. And also provide upskilling certifications for students and professionals in both the countries who would make their mobility experience easier. And it just sounded great. But the diplomats on the other side were like, well, tell me, Parajita, do you know of such a community that would be willing to connect with networks overseas? Does it exist in Kolkata?
Say this is the right thing for you as of now. So being a rebellious kid might we can land up with a difference for a longer period of time, but eventually it would be like they will, if we get successful, they will be happy. Say you can say Mary Kom as well. She was a rebellious kid, so she became world champion. She rebelled and she married as well. She gave birth to 2 beautiful kids, and again she got back and she became world champion again twice again. So we should take our families along.
Sorry, what's your name?
Australia to India, and you have come across both the countries, and you have made some breakthroughs. So how do you find after coming back from Australia after 2 decades, as you say? So what is the culture basically you're finding over here as far as entrepreneurship is concerned in Kolkata specifically?
Sure. As we've just experienced there in the room, that there's a lot of potential, and most importantly, there's a lot of interest. So obviously having the potential but not understanding that you have the interest, it doesn't really work. But the fact that we are starting this initiative, thanks to Shubhadeep and Kaushik for spearheading this, it says that there is a need for entrepreneurs to come about and express their views, and also take advantage of the fact that entrepreneurship has always been a part of this city. It's something I've understood and I've come into terms with ever since I've come back from Australia. Like, we talk about Chennai, we talk about Mumbai, we talk about New Delhi, but this is where it started, and you'll see why if you stay around. That the first Indian industrialist to become a partner in a British firm was actually Dwarkanath Tagore. I'm sure the new generations would know that we'll be testing them. So it's always been a part of this city, and the fact that we're talking about it and shedding more light on it means that the city is ready again to reclaim its roots and its vision.
So how you are going to initiate that? I mean, bringing people in this sort of consortium, something like that. So
I've spoken to the two organizers over here. One of the things that we would like to do once this group is formed is perhaps request not only Australia but also the other consul generals to come and see. Maybe start something formal with the entrepreneurial club, which is not only linked with the Chamber of Commerce and etc., but something on our own, and connect it to the networks back in Australia or America, whoever may be interested. I know for a fact that after this particular event was launched, on LinkedIn we had an Italian network of entrepreneurs who were really keen to know a little bit more about what's happening over here. So these are the opportunities that are there, and you just need somebody as a conduit to connect them. So that is what I, at least in my capacity as an OCI and foreign citizen, intend to do once this takes shape in a more formal way.
But do you think that the market which we have over here, not only in Kolkata, I'm talking about the larger aspect that is India, or maybe the subcontinent. Now, do you think the market is attracting more foreign investments, or they will be attracting more foreign investments, and thus will allow our entrepreneurs to capitalize on that and form their part also? I mean, to get into more kind of businesses, more avenues will be opening for them.
India's right now heading the G20 presidency. One of the main agendas there is to actually foster entrepreneurship. I know for a fact that Piyush Goyal has also mentioned that it's very important for the research and development sector of India to rise, and it also talks about, he also spoke of fostering the collaborative innovations with researchers and developers in outside India as well. So there's definitely an opportunity. Again, when I speak about Australia, we are, when I say we, I'm talking about Australia, but in the final stages of ECTA, the Economic Cooperation Trade Agreement, and we also have a new head of mission coming in, Mr. Philip Green, and I'm sure that there's a lot of opportunities in the bilateral relationship of Australia and India. And even when you're looking at India reaching its stage as the fourth developing nation, that says a lot about things which are happening within the government. That's fantastic, but also outside the government, as individuals and corporations are really putting forth their efforts to create these ecosystems which are hiring and also collaborating within the industry. And as we mentioned, they're reaching out. So yes, this is something that I feel will be the talk of the town, so to speak, or the world in the coming decade.
And And ma'am, have you given any name to this umbrella? I mean, as you have started this today, I think it started today itself.
Yes, it's a launch.
So are you thinking of any umbrella or a name for that? I mean, for this consortium or for this initiative?
I think Shubhadeep and Kaushik may have started it off as the entrepreneurs community in Kolkata, but as we haven't really decided. I mean, I'm just.
And what would be your role on this? I mean,
Well, in my capacity, I would love to provide the assistance that they need. Like, for example, as I said, the conduit, maybe once it's formalized, there's some structures in place to invite certain, foreign delegates over here, come and see what's happening in this part of the city or the country, to get to know what are the challenges and the opportunities, so that people can make their own informed decisions. And like I said, this would have been different if it existed 3 years back. We could have started a conversation. This particular sector, the startup sector, would have actually been on the economic trade agreement.
and now let's come to some negatives also. I mean, as we have talked about positive things about startups and all.
Sure.
We have seen startups in India, those who come up with high capitals. I don't know where from they manage it. They manage it from their investors and all. They come, they do their TVCs. They take a brand ambassador, which will cost them somewhere around 2-3 crores, and come out with a bang. And then we find that those startups are doing nothing at the end of the day, but to fool the people and take money away. So this is the negative, which I shouldn't have told today, because since it's a launch over here, but this is certainly is a pertinent question, I think. How do you look at it? I mean, in India especially, because you know why.
Thanks for asking that question, raising that topic. You assign it to a factor of negativity. I would call it as a risk. So when we're talking about the risk assessment factors, and something I'm sure that the other, entrepreneurs and other investors outside of India are very aware of, they would actually factor this in. I mean, there are people who do their market intelligence research. They are aware of what's happening in India, and they take cognizance of these sort of fraudulent activities and fraud companies. So nothing to be worried about from their side. But as far as we're concerned over here, I think it's also important that the consumers become aware of where they're investing, stocks, shares, time, etc., and not being fooled by this, avalanche of marketing or like kind of this gigantic bombastic display of market and people coming in as brand ambassadors, and to really understand what's happening behind all the showbiz.